Mumi, what the is going on with the TV lately?
I don't know. It's really been on the fritz, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's on fire.
I think it's fine. I think that's just a feature.
Isekai Ojisan!
After being transported to another world, Yosuke Shibazaki has lived a full life of magic and adventure. There's only one problem. He just woke up back home. Now, after being in a coma for 17 years, he has to readjust to the modern world. Or is being able to live in a world without a Sega console just a pipe dream? Cast your votes and have a seat. It's story time with Isekai Ojisan.
What do you guys think of the How I Met Your Mother isekai?
Oh,
God damn it. Stop saying that.
You hate it because it's correct. This is basically just a show about people watching TV.
Damn, it's finally something I can relate to.
That is what happens in every episode, is they just sit down and watch TV.
The show is almost like denying you the experience of an isekai, right? It's kind of subverting the fact that you go to another world. He's already come back from another world.
Which is something you don't see, really.
But the way the presentation is, it's almost like a meta thing where they are just showing you the other world on a screen. And they're like, here you go.
That's how they enjoy it, right? That's how they gauge it with it in terms of like a media platform, right?
Before we get into it, I think it's safe to say that we all really enjoyed Isekai Ojisan.
Yeah.
Despite the troubles it faced. For anyone who doesn't know somehow, this was like releasing weekly on Japanese Netflix. And what ended up happening is there were some production issues. So yeah, they get a do-over for the next season where they air episodes 1 through 7 again on TV. And then it goes on hiatus again.
For the last fucking episode.
For the last goddamn episode, which we had to wait months for.
Despite all of that, somehow this actually turned out to be good.
Yeah, I mean, visually, it's not a bad show at all.
Despite like all the apparent failures of the production, they sure as hell didn't skimp out on the fucking vocal cast.
Oh god,
so
yes.
You got Uncle, who's voiced by and then you got Takafumi, who's voiced by you got Elf, who's voiced by and then Alicia is then you have Maybell, who's Aoi fucking Yuki.
Those are your 5 main cast members, basically.
Yeah. Can we take a second to like appreciate how fucking great Aoyuki is in this? I don't know, she gets like that really awkward demeanor that Mabel has down like really well.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where the show is very dialogue heavy for its comedy. So you need to have a strong vocal cast who are able to like banter off one another in order to be able to like pull that off.
The vast majority of the comedy comes from either that or like facial expression.
Well, let's talk about the comedy, because you look at a show like Konosuba, for example. And, you know, when Konosuba was airing, everyone was sort of like touting it as like this great satire of the isekai genre.
It just is the genre.
Yeah, it's not really taking any of the elements and really like playing them differently or satirizing them. That is what this is doing, though. That is what Isekai Ojisan does constantly. And it's reflected in just how incisive a lot of the jokes are. Like, you have Ojisan. He doesn't know what a tsundere is, because he was sent to the other world before, like, tsundere was really, like, in otaku public consciousness. So he's completely oblivious to that because of the time frame. And he's just like, well, this girl's a fucking bitch.
When he got transported, it basically was, like, really just starting to become a thing. And I would blame him to not know it. He's not an anime nerd. He's a game otaku.
He's a gamer.
I'm saying the N-word.
No, don't do it!
Specifically a Sega gamer.
Sega gamer.
So, but that also, the fact that, he is approaching everything like it's like a Sega Genesis game, basically. Like, there's a point where he's trying to abuse the pathing mechanics of enemies, and he tries to do that in the other world and is shocked when it doesn't work.
And I think one of the reasons why it kind of works like that is because Ojisan interfaces with the other world like a video game. He's unable to kind of view it like a real world, like an organic world.
It's not even like an Isekai Make You situation where he just thinks that he's in a game. Ojisan in this, he thinks that, the world is going to operate like his Genesis games, but it doesn't.
Most kind of Isekai protagonists, if they're gamers, they're typically kind of like an MMORPG kind of gamer. But, like, that's not him.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out how to do things as, like, efficiently as possible.
Which a lot of those kind of games motivate you to do it as fast as you can. So when he approaches situations, it's like, I need to go to point A the quickest way possible.
It's operating on video game logic that will come like a decade later. Like when he first goes to like rescue Mabel, he needs to get this sword basically in order to rescue her. But he just ends up sequence breaking it by just killing the dragon without the sword.
I love the running joke that the impetus for like all of these stories is that he recalls an event that happened in the other world because of a video game reference. Like the story of Mabel trying to assassinate him. The only reason he brings it up is because he was talking about Alien Soldier, and he's like, oh yeah, I talked about Alien Soldier when I was about to get assassinated too.
It's a really interesting approach, and I wonder how much of that is informed by the fact that this is not a light novel adaptation that like comes from like a web novel from like Shosetsu. This is just a manga adaptation.
I think that's kind of interesting context here, right? Because when we talk about like isekai stemming directly from manga, I've noticed that they tend to be a little bit more calculated. They kind of weigh everything against each other, like in a sense of like what are like kind of the isekai like story tropes. While people online like from like Shosetsu or Kakuyomu, they're kind of going against like what is the grain. But for a mangaka, that's not really there.
The anime is very faithful to the manga. I would say that one real big strength that the manga has that the anime is not able to capture, he's really adept at like drawing faces. The way he draws like the eyes and like the stark contrast of like the line work that he does with like the hair that makes his characters really stand out, that can't really be captured in the anime.
From what I have seen of the manga also has a rougher art style in terms of the line work, and that is something reflected in the anime as well.
It's funny because like we were watching an anime and it feels very stilted visually, right? It's not like Mob Psycho or something where it's like very fluid, they're moving all the time. Like they're very much just sitting there a lot of the time. When they do move, it's pretty economical. The manga is very much like that too. He'll draw an image of like some characters or something. He might reuse that drawing of that character where like it's the exact same image and he's putting them in different situations just to be economical about it. And it kind of makes it funnier. And I will say that's definitely like a big strength of the anime is the comedy. I feel like the voice acting definitely helps like punctuate a lot of the punchlines.
Oh, 100%.
It doesn't hit as hard in the manga because it's like panel to panel, you know?
It's panel to panel, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's like one of the best anime ever, but like considering that it's a new studio and a new director, like I was really surprised like how well they were able to capture the manga in an anime form.
There's a point where you're thinking like, okay, is the plot of this going to be like Takafumi just doesn't believe that Ojisan has powers or that he went to another world or anything like that?
Yeah, that goes out the window really quick.
Yep, no, we're not doing any of that bullshit. He has magical powers and they start a YouTube channel.
I haven't seen that a lot where it's like powers generally don't transfer.
No, there are rules and limitations to his powers, but those rules and limitations are also insane.
Yeah.
Or just fucking stupid. Like it's either like, give me a fish head or I will kill all of humanity. Because he gets his powers from like weird deities.
The overpowered ability that he's been given is literally just the ability to communicate with anyone and anything. Which, I mean, I guess it kind of takes like the whole kind of concept of like, I guess the story of the Tower of Babel, whatever, and just kind of shows you how strong communication can really be.
It's like Symphogear.
He's somebody that's able to like recall lost arts and shit, and they give this ability to somebody that has zero social awareness. It's like he can literally understand anything anyone says, but he can't actually like discern meaning or like underlying intentions around what is being said. That's kind of the part that makes Elf such a great foil, is she's a tsundere that can't like come out and actually say how she feels, than being like, it's not like I did this for you or anything, and he takes it literally.
He really fucking hates me. All right. There's also a self-deprecating part to that as well, because everyone hates him in the other world because he looks like an orc.
I almost feel like that is kind of a commentary when people are like, I wish I could be in an isekai or whatever. They usually are imagining like established isekai worlds, right? They're not typically imagining their own fantasy world. A lot of those, like in Japanese context, are anime, and anime is traditionally very attractive character designs because you want your products to sell. So like the joke here is like he gets transferred to this other world where everyone's beautiful like anime characters, and they call him ugly, but he just kind of looks like a normal dude,
He
right?
looks like a normal guy. To an extent, the humor can also kind of kneecap the show at points, because the whole show, you have two will they won't they plots And they sort of parallel each other in interesting ways, where Takafumi is immediately able to tell that Elf really likes Ojisan, but Ojisan is just completely oblivious to it. Meanwhile, Ojisan can tell that Fujimiya really wants to fuck Takafumi. He's kind of aware, but he's kind of also running away from it.
In general, their relationship, because they're childhood friends, right?
Right.
But as they have kind of visually shown, she was a creature as a child, like a fucking horrible, foul thing.
Fucking goblin.
But Takafumi doesn't care. He thought she was great.
Yeah, he has a very warped perception of her.
But it's always worked out in the favor of the relationship in general, of like them being friends.
And then a year or two later, she glows up massively. She is really hot.
Insane.
But Takafumi is still just kind of, to an extent, he's deliberately not picking up on stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, we say that they're dense, but like the fact that they mirror each other. At one point, Takafumi actively says, like, I try not to see you that way.
Right.
So it does beg the question, how much of it is actually them just being dense and unaware, and how much of it is them actively avoiding it?
Yeah, they both have this aversion to like the romantic field in general. They're hard loners, you know? And it's not because they're uninterested. Again, they're obviously interested, right? Especially Takafumi. They just don't allow themselves, right?
Yeah, it's hinted at fairly early on. I think maybe just in the first episode that they have some like family issues, but those are never really addressed all that much or really brought up in any capacity.
Something I kind of wanted to mention is like typically isekai stories that have continual transference. There's usually like a kind of like a gate or a bridge or something, basically a physical like link between the worlds, and that link kind of denotes what the sort of narrative is. Like gate's like a physical gate, right? That's why it's called gate.
Yeah.
But for most isekai stuff, that's not the case. It just, they go to the world and that's it. The Isekai Ojisan is kind of like almost post isekai. The logic of like what happens to a person who's been isekai'd who does go back. And now it's trying to be reacclimated.
I know you talked about it in your video on Death March. A lot of isekai is almost like manifest of like the yearning of like escapism from the corporate structure of Japan. That's present in Isekai Ojisan. It's kind of understated, but Uncle's talking about how like he wasn't sure if he could go through with a salaryman job in his old world.
Ojisan was like quite young when he went to the other world, but that was around 2000. This is off the back of the 1995 economic crash, the Lost Generation, right? So it makes a lot of sense that like a young person around that time who's like getting out of like high school, like is not really for it, right? So yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense that like Oji-san had that kind of perspective when going in.
Well, then you also have like them talking about the struggles of being a YouTuber.
Well, they directly reference the Adpocalypse.
Yeah, they directly reference the Adpocalypse, which is just like, what the that was a surreal moment.
This is like the last thing I expected to be mentioned in anime.
I like that they present him as being a YouTuber, but they like actually present the mentality behind wanting to be. We might have somewhat of an idea, right? What kind of goes behind wanting to do YouTube content.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Do you have YouTube? Are you recording this right?
You referred back to like the Wild Talker ability. His ability only kicks in when there's like some desperate desire to like be understood and understand. That kind of ties back into like his love of video games, because like at one point some of the characters get like a little glimpse into Uncle's life back home, and like they describe it as like, oh my god, it was terrible, he was shoved in a dark room. He gets very like upset. It's very much from the place of like someone who would have grown up in the 90s where there was still kind of a stigma on being really into video games. And he's kind of talking about how video games gave him a space for him to like be able to practice something and become good and proficient at it, where he didn't feel like he was getting that in the real world, because like he felt like they weren't giving him an opportunity to kind of prosper and learn any new skills. You were just expected to be proficient at it already. He's straight up saying like video games were a benefit to his life, and we see that because like a lot of his kind of coping strategies and like what we see kind of got him through being on the other side. Because like, make no mistake, like he very much presents being in the other world as something that was traumatic for him. Like this wasn't an escape for him. The escape from the other world for him was imagining being back home.
Right.
Yeah.
The coping strategies that he had were basically referring back to like his happy childhood memories of playing video games, the things that he learned from playing video games. games. When his life is first in danger, immediately he starts thinking of like this opening from a video game. And that's what kind of gives him the motivation to fight back and like stand up for himself. The wisdom that he's imparting on the other characters, they're things that he picked up from video games. He just has like a passion for video games, and I think that's what is cool about presenting him as a YouTuber, because it's not just that he's a YouTuber. Like, you see the underlying kind of motivation and thought process that would lead to him becoming a YouTuber, that kind of just drive to want to share something that he's very passionate about, his experience, and like getting across what makes these things so special to him to people that might not have that same kind of thought process.
Yeah, video games definitely mean like a lot to him.
Well, the first thing that he asks when he gets out of the coma is, who is winning the console war?
I do think like one of the Isekai Ojisan's like strengths, you know, is it's just very sincere.
Yeah.
I think Isekai in general are pretty sincere. That's one of the reasons why I like them so much. But like, yeah, Isekai Ojisan is like really sincere about like these things that like matter to these people.
Definitely what endeared me to like Oji-san as a character was how sincere and like pragmatic he was. Like the combination of the two.
Oh, definitely.
Where he's just like, I guess it comes from, again, you know, growing up as a nerd in the 90s kind of thing. He very much just has a mentality of like, fuck what everyone else thinks, just do what you want. And it ends up being like a message that a lot of the people in the show needed to hear, that are like kind of caught up in the social hierarchies and all that shit. Like, he's just like, who cares? Like, his tone deafness plays as a strength for these characters.
I think it's safe to say that we all highly recommend Isekai Ojisan, and if you just want like a really fun comedy, check it out.
Even if you don't generally like isekai, I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, you don't need to like Isekai to like this one.
Highly regarded. 5 stars. 20 blue hedgehogs out of 6.
Mumi, just stop. Just let the episode end.
You didn't give a joke. What the fuck?
It's being reincarnated into another world.
That was awful.